Alright, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott, and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're back talking about Stomp and tutorials. I wanted to watch a video that I kind of just stumbled on, and I watched a little bit of it. It's called 5 Reasons You Suck at Skiing Powder, Let's Fix It by Stomp and Tutorials. Now first off, I like doing these reaction videos. I like being critical of other channels, but more than anything, at least with Stomp and Tutorials, I have nothing but love for these guys. I like their content a lot. I like their advice a lot. I've learned things from watching their videos. They had one where they were talking about how to store your ski equipment, and I knew like 80% of it, but they had one where they were talking about releasing the springs on the dins. I'm embarrassed to say I didn't know that, and I learned something from watching their videos, so nothing but love for them. Highly recommend their channel. Seriously, I really like these guys, so I'm not coming at this from a place of hatred or a place where I like, oh, I caught him. I just want to respond to some of the things, because some of the things I saw in the video, I want to add my perspective and say like, hey, I think we could do this differently. But without further ado, let's jump right into it and react to what they think about powder skiing. I'm primarily skilled in carving, and I'm in the last 10 years been working on my powder and tree skiing. So I'm more knowledgeable in the carving arena, but I don't know, I like skiing powder, I like skiing in the woods, and it's a skill I'm trying to build out, so maybe one, I'll learn something along the way, and two, I can kind of add my 2 cents. If you hear any weird noises, it just means I use copyrighted music.
Oh, in this video, we're gonna look at 5 reasons why you suck at skiing powder.
Okay, he jokes, but when I had like race skis when I was in my teenage years and you were in Vermont and you got the rare big powder day, that's how you had to ski. The skis were so narrow and you had to lean so far back. Also, there's something really hard about watching, I know he's just doing it for effect, but watching someone ski like that through untouched powder, it's like scratching the inside of my brain like, no, you should ski good through the untouched stuff. It's dramatic, got my attention, but man, it hurts a little bit. Okay.
So you probably often do stuff like that. And that's also one of the reasons why it's fine to suck at skiing powder, because you get to crash more often, which is great. Look at this beautiful day.
All right, first off, that's good skiing. I mean, you can see how smooth he looks. The line is like perfectly picked. He hits the jumps and the landing is in the softer parts of the powder. You watch someone like him or Zach ski the powder, it's pretty amazing. In fact, I would love to see him and Zach ski together. So, Stomp and Tutorials. I'm sure you've never heard of us out here in Idaho, but open invitation if you ever want to ski. Okay.
Anyone who's ever been coached by me in freestyle or ski technique knows I usually don't let people complain about the equipment. I just reflect it back to them. No, it's your technique and let's focus on you. But when it comes to powder skiing, the equipment matters a fair bit in my opinion. So let's look at the different skis. Let's have a little introduction to ski equipment for beginner freeride skiers. Let's start here.
Okay. Just starting out, let's see, he looks like a bent 90. It's probably his park ski. We've got the Redster Q8.7. Come on. Come on, man. You don't need that cheater ski. You can have a real carving ski. I don't know if it's the Redster Q or the Redster X, but I don't like that kind of carving ski. It's doing all the work for you. It's not letting you savor the turns, build up. In fact, just yesterday I put out my review on that ski. You can see it down below. But he could be on a better ski. He's a good skier. Could really savor his turns more. Although he is an instructor and a coach, so maybe it's actually a really good ski because he can do those short radius turns and demonstrate the skiing. Okay, and then he's got the bent 110. Chef Kiss, my favorite bent in the series. I think the proportions on it are just perfect. It's got that exact turn radius with that exact shape. The flotation's good. It carves. I've got a full review on that ski as well. Excellent ski. And then the Backland, I have not gone on a pair of those. I'm not a big backcountry skier, but I think that's a good choice if you're going into it. Just from what I've heard, sounds like it's a nice ski. It reminds me a lot in shape of the Maverick, which is a good ski. But where is the Maverick? Come on! You got all these skis and you're like missing one of the best ones. I mean, I gave the bent 110 a 10 out of 10, so kudos there. And I get the bent 1, or bent 90, whatever that is for park. You know, you need a separate park ski. But get on a Maverick 88. I guess I don't know the climate of... Oh, I do. I skied in France. Yeah. The Maverick 88 would be perfect. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's never tested that ski, but this lineup, it's missing just that crown jewel of atomic ingenuity with the Horizon tech, with the good carving. I do give him props for the bent 110 though. I really like that ski as well. I gave it a perfect 10 out of 10. So he is, he's getting big thumbs up kudos for that. That's a good pick for a powder ski.
I think this is the absolute worst ski you could ever ski for powder skiing. A competition slopestyle ski. The reason why it's so bad in powder is that it's mounted in the middle, making it submarine very easily, forcing you to be back-seated. And that we don't want. From the worst to just a bad ski in powder is a typical piste ski. What is saving this ski from being absolutely terrible is the mounting point is far back, helping it float a little bit. Although I think it overdoes it and you have the ski a little bit too back in the snowpack, making it pretty hard to ski, but you can at least ski it without being too back-seated.
That's exactly what I said when I did my Armada ARV and my Atomic Redster. I think that's totally accurate. The other thing too is that, yeah, you can get it in the backseat enough to float, but then all of your weight's in the back and it's hard to like really round off those turns. It kind of becomes more dangerous than fun. You can get through it and survive little sections of it, but it's not ideal. That's why the all-mountain skis are good. They can carve and do that. And they actually carve better than the Redster. When you're talking about the Maverick, those carve better than the Redster. Come on, you're gonna give me heartburn here. Come on. Maybe he'll talk about all mountain skis, but he's like missing this one really useful tool.
Third category is the meh category. It's the all mountain ski. Notice it is empty because I don't own one. I used to own one and I think it's just a bit too meh on the piste and meh on the powder.
You come here to my home. I invite you in and you insult the all-mountain ski. What? What all-mountain ski were you on? I want to know. I want to know exactly. Because if you were on an Atomic Maverick 100 and you own the bent 110, I get it. It's not doing enough different. But did you go on the Atomic Maverick 88? Did you ski the Salomon QST 92? Did you go on the Headcore 93? Those are big words, my friend. Or the QST 106. I guess that's the powder ski more. Come on, it's just a bit meh, and you're sitting there with a Redster? It feels meh, because you gotta load it up to carve, but if you get that perfect timing and loading up the ski and getting it to set, I promise you, you won't be disappointed. I know that he's come a long way in his skiing from the early videos to now. I've heard he's like gotten really good. So maybe he tried the all-mountain ski back early days, and it didn't do enough different versus now. If you're really loading an all-mountain ski, you can have a lot of fun. And again, I'm out west versus the Alps. I've only skied the Alps a couple of times, so my knowledge is limited for snow conditions there versus Idaho in the US. But I would say try the all-mountain ski again. Try the Maverick specifically, especially if you like all those other skis. I bet you would really like the Maverick 88 Ti. There are so many good all-mountain skis, especially compared to how they used to be. They used to be very meh, but they have come a long way. We are in the golden age of skis right now. Try some all-mountain skis, please, please. I'll come out and I'll bring you some Mavericks to try. You will not be disappointed. Or Atomic can, that's kind of their job, not mine, but still. That's totally fair. You could also say that the thing about those quicker and easier turns on the bent 110 is that when there are days where it hasn't snowed in a while and you need to go find powder, especially when you're like on chairlift access backcountry, and it's a little different in Idaho versus the Alps, but you can use those skis to make tight radius turns to get in between the shrubs and in between the trees. So especially where I ski at Bogus Basin, that's really necessary because there's a lot of overgrown shrubs, there's a lot of trees, and that's where the really good snow is. So I like that. I ski my Salomon QST 106 for powder, and I tested these bent 110s, and I think perhaps I might sell my QST 106s to Zach if he wants them, and buy a bent 110. They cost pretty much the same. It's just like, hey, do you want these skis? Anyway. and I'm gonna swap them out. But I will say, I like that for making quick turns. When you're sending it and going fast, I actually like the QST 106 better. Like, the way that Zach skis is so fast, and when I'm in the powder, I like to go a little bit slower, take my time, kind of go in the trees more, where I can see the fall line and kind of see the pitch better. But I would say that that's partially the Bent 110's specific style. It has that kind of almost more center mounted. It's not totally center mounted like a twin tip ski or like a park ski, but it is more forward, I think, than the QST 106. So, but that's a great pick. I mean, the Bent 110 was a 10 out of 10 for me. So, chef's kiss, excellent choice. And I think that maybe what you're missing out on is like, yeah, it's shorter turns than whatever you're gonna say next, but you can get in between those trees.
Now, fifth and final category is excellent. The directional backcountry ski. This is a 107mm ski. The mounting point is relatively far back from the freestyle backcountry ski, making it have a nice balanced float. And thanks to having a tail, just a little bit of a tail, I feel like I can do my best powder ski turns on this ski. And I love it. Although I would more often choose the freestyle backcountry ski, just for my own personal playful nature of doing tricks and spins. All right, that's a wrap. I'll take my babies and go. We get more powder soon. So I'm gonna choose this one, I think. I need to go touring.
I think the other thing that you can think of too is, like, at least with the way he has this set up, I don't know how much I would want those pin bindings. They're perfectly stable, and I tried them in the Black Crow Draco Freebird, but like for just ease of use and being able to ski all day, I would prefer the Bent 110 for what he has set up, just because I like those kind of traditional bindings more. I haven't skied the Backland. I really should. It's just hard to, one, find a pair. I can never find them. And two, you know, find a day where they're more suited than a Bent 110. But I'll try to get on a pair. I've skied skis like them, you know, and I get what they're doing and I get the purpose of them. But I think if you're skiing all day in powder, I'd rather be on the Bent 110 just for the maneuverability and like how much more comfortable it feels underfoot. But that's just personal opinion. I can see why he likes these. Man, he picked some really great skis. I don't know if he's sponsored by Atomic, but like just the lineup is pretty good, especially since he's mostly on the Bent 110. The Bent 90, I don't know anything about the park, and I'm not gonna bend your ear anymore about the Redster.
It takes countless hours to become a great skier. So why not join one of our ski technique camps for adults where we teach you step by step from riding the slope to the powder. So I just found Jan Draghetti, junior world champion in freeride skiing. So who better to ask, why do you think the average skier suck at freeride skiing?
Why the average skier sucks at freeride skiing?
Yeah, or skiing powder.
That's a great question. No, really, it really is.
What I found out is pretty important is where you mount your bindings. Doesn't really matter what freeride ski you have to find out if you are more a centered skier or you mount it more back or in front, so that helped me pretty much.
So experiment a little bit with that.
Yeah, for sure, you have to take this time and experiment a bit, yeah.
Okay, how are you supposed to experiment with that without a pair of demo bindings? I mean, unless you're drilling just a bunch of holes, and I guess your bindings can move forward a little bit back and forth actually. But yeah, I mean, this is something I found too with the Bent 110 versus the QST 106. I liked how the Bent 110 was a little bit more forward, just because I wanted to be able to make those easy turns in the trees. But it's not only in the skier's preference, but a little bit of it could be where you're skiing as well.
Also really depends on your style. If you're more a freestyle backcountry skier or a regular conservative freeride skier, then you also ski different shapes, and then it's way more mounted on the back. And on skis like that, 121, freestyle backcountry ski, it's more.
What a beautiful way of explaining it. It's different shapes, because it is, we talk about the turn radius and people kind of will blank out when you talk about turn radius, but it's important. It's like, what style arc you like. There's a reason I don't always love 100mm underfoot skis, because the radius that tends to go with those in my size isn't always the most fun or the most responsive. And I like a certain radius. And same for the really short, like the Mears Core. I don't like the super short radius turns. I get that they're good, and I had fun on the Mears Cores, but my ideal turn radius is somewhere in that 17-meter radius where I can kind of open them up. And each ski has different flexibility on what kind of range of radiuses is going to give you, but what a beautiful, beautiful way of explaining it. Man, this is why these guys are my favorite. Honestly, these guys are really good.
More centered, and you ski differently. You drift more. You don't carve in the powder. Yeah.
Because you gave such a good answer and you gave the coach attitude, you win the bonus prize of 500 push-ups.
If you can't ski properly on piste, you can't in powder either.
Carving the powder and carving groomers, they're so similar. The only difference.
This is very good skiing. You can tell that it's good skiing because just in those 2 turns, how smoothly he transitioned from, you know, standing up in his transition phase into initiating the next turn. He's preloading those turns ahead of time, and that's why they're able to initiate so smoothly. That's beautiful skiing. He's a little double turning with his feet, but it's very minor. Very, very good skiing. Wow. Yeah, I mean, this is something people don't talk about, but I've experienced with learning powder skiing. A lot of it is a similar turn shape to carving. You just kind of change the timing, you change the position of your feet, you change the gear, obviously, but a lot of the fundamentals are the same. That's why it's so fun to learn. Man, okay. God, they're all hits, no misses today. What do the youth today say? All facts, no email. This is good. Those are absolutely the same fundamentals. This is why I like Stomp tutorial, because they're more fundamentals based rather than like really granular. Well, then you do this at 90 degrees. Bah, 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 bah. No, this is great. Okay.
What you need to do is to carve with the feet a little closer together. End of the day when things are getting a little bit bumpy, so you have to use your knees as shock absorbers and do it on your freeride equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. And knowing how to kind of soften that before you get to stuff, especially in the backcountry areas, because you'll have like something that's open and smooth, and then you kind of get into the creek, or you get into something where you have to go over terrain to get over to things. And having that forethought to adjust your body and dampen kind of bumps as you come to them is very smart. Man, they've got a good batting average here. This is great.
Spend hours on slope doing short turns, and I want you to always focus on this one thing. Although it's a fantastic drill, the T-tray drill, to keep the arms like straight down the hill, what happens is what happened to me here, that you just point the upper body down the hill, the hip is really far this way. And what we want to get good is rotating the femur in the hip socket. So you keep the hip roughly down the hill. It's going to be like 45 degrees across the hill, and then the hip is going to move a little bit while we train to rotate the feet, the legs, the femur in the hip socket in between every short turn.
The thing that you're trying to strengthen there is to be able to make those quick hop turns, because especially when the snow gets a little bit old or a little bit more baked, it can take longer and you really have to use your muscles to get those around. Also, just skiing on powder skis is a little bit harder on your hips, so it's just an overall good drill to do. Let's skip to skiing too rigid.
Rigid. I often see people ski really rigid, kind of stiff, and it's not flowing nicely, because we really do need some flow and some movement, so we can utilize the springboard effect from the last tip. The best drill to get more dynamic.
Yeah, that's true. And what I would say is a lot of people catch their edges because they're not willing to round off the turns. In the powder, you have to just be a little bit more patient. Ride it out, open up your radius on your turns, and let it float. And if you get too impatient and you just want to turn on command, that's when you go over the tips or your side of your edges catch. Even mine get crossed sometimes because I'm not as patient as I should be. It's absolutely true. Dolphin turns, okay.
It's the dolphin turn. Feel that little bounce. And start with a really small direction change in between these bounces. Let the speed build up, and then you just compress the snow a little bit, and then start twisting or rolling the feet from big toe to little toe.
I mean, what's good about that too is it's allowing you to feel the difference in texture and the different layers of the snow. But what I like about these guys is when they're teaching you things, they're teaching you how things feel it's really hard to say, well, it should look like this. And you're like, well, I can't see myself when I ski. I don't have a giant mirror. Feel-based learning is, in my opinion, the best way to teach a skill like this. You're feeling everything, you're getting a feel for what's under your foot, and you're kind of playing with that bounce because that bounce will combine into turns.
To set off these tiny turns. Careful now, crazy. Here we got Sylvan.
Hello.
Why do you think people suck at skiing powder?
And because they don't have the knowledge about the powder, they don't know the snow, they probably have the wrong equipment. And that's the most thing, I guess, that's a problem.
Hey, what's your name?
Lou, hi.
Why do you think skiers suck at riding powder?
I think snowboarding is just much cooler. Yeah.
Let's see how you do under pressure.
I mean, she's not wrong. Snowboarding in powder feels really good because you have that big open base, but you know, it doesn't give you as much flexibility in your lines. So, you know, snowboarders have to build up the skill of like really looking ahead and setting up their lines well, but I don't know. I like the diversity of skiing.
Skiing too slow. Maybe you're too slow because you're skiing too flat terrain like this. As a rule of thumb, I kind of think about it, when it's steep enough to avalanche, it's also steep enough to do nice turns. So at 30 degrees, like proper avalanche danger begins, and it's also where you can do proper powder turns, and it feels great. So that tells me I have to be careful all the time, know my shit, do avalanche training, or we'll have to stay on marked, already avalanche controlled runs. In order to not ski too slow, count 1, 2, 3, and then you start doing some smooth flowing turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when I have enough speed, just start rolling those ankles a little bit to start carving the turn.
Yeah, and what's good with that is that your speed is proportionate to what kind of turns you can make. That is so on the money, and it's true for carving too in general. I think a lot of people miss that point. Man, that's really good. It's also the amount of speed you have will indicate the type of radius, and you can scale your radius turns to your speed. So if you don't quite have a ton of speed, open up the radius and make it just kind of a softer turn. Or sometimes get good at looking ahead, build up your speed so you can coast through and enjoy those flat sections, because it's not always a steady pitch.
And then the flatter the slope, the more open the turns has to be to keep carving. So much easier to ski when you let the speed build up.
And you see how patient he was with that last turn? He like really let it round off in its own time rather than trying to force it across. Obviously sometimes with, you know, hazards and things like that, you have to force things. But if you want it to feel smooth and good, these are great directions to follow.
And the turns flow. If you're skiing too slowly because you are making two C-shaped turns, try to make them a bit more S-shaped so you maintain your speed.
Hey, hang on. S-shape. Well, it depends which font you're using, no?
Very true.
True. Maybe I need a different analogy. Okay, let's start over. If you're too slow because you're doing two C-shaped turns, try to slither down the hill like a snake so you maintain that speed.
Wait, Jens.
Oh God, what now? What? What?
Snakes can just adapt any shape. They could be a circle.
Maybe we need a different analogy. Oh, if not S or snake. So if you're skiing too slow because of two C-shaped turns, try to make them a bit more banana-shaped so you maintain that speed down the hill.
Yeah, okay, banana works. They tend to have the same curve.
Wow. Finally!
This guy is a modern poet. I mean, I'm sure he's edited, but that was pretty quick. So I think that's enough. We've kind of covered everything, the main points of this video. I thought this was a great tutorial and a great video. This is an A++. The only thing I'll add for context is a lot of these drills are good to do because as you get more mileage, you get better at adapting them to different types of snow conditions and terrain. You want to kind of feel that snow and feel that kind of springiness of the snow to understand how to adjust it when the snow maybe doesn't have as much spring, or when it's firmer, or when there's a layer underneath that's sticky. You will get good at feeling that and adjusting your turn shape accordingly. So when he's talking about the S or the banana or whatever, you adjust that shape to the snow conditions, to your momentum, everything. So while these skills are really good and watching the video is very helpful, you won't get it from just watching the video. You have to put mileage on with these skills so that you can fine tune them as you get better and better at skiing. And that's what I'm doing right now. Like, I am still trying to get mileage, still trying to get a better understanding of how to dispose of speed, how to set up my line ahead of time. You know, and luckily I snowboarded for years, so you have to get really good at looking ahead because otherwise you just crash. You can't like skate out of things like you can on skis. So that would be my advice to you. Take this all, but like focus on one thing at a time and make it your own. Make those turn shapes your own for what you feel comfortable with and what feels good to you underfoot, because that good feeling will often kind of help you balance out what things you want to do more or less of. That's my own personal opinion, but like I said, Stomp Tutorials, they get an A++, 2 thumbs up. This was an excellent video, and I think they really hit it on the nail with understanding how to describe a feeling, which is difficult, and how to help people build these skills out who are kind of getting new into powder. I will say, you know, he doesn't like all mountain skis, and I don't know why. I think he tried the wrong ones. But I will say that I think all mountain skis can be a really good way for people to kind of dip their toes into the off-trail skiing. Like a Salomon QST 92 is such a good ski if you're primarily carving but want to be able to go off-trail and just get a feel for it. Same for my Atomic Maverick 88 TIs. I think a lot of these skis actually serve a really good purpose for people who are daily driving on the groomed trails but want to explore off-trail and get a good sense of that. Especially the Maverick, which has Horizon tech and is going to give you a lot of bang for your buck width-wise. So that's my only thing. Don't completely discount all mountain skis. They're not perfect for it like a Bent 110, but a lot of days, like a Bent 110 this year, I could probably only skied on 8 to 12 days. I guess it depends on how the season ends, but there's only so many days you can ski on those skis, and I think that people will get a lot more out of a ski that they're comfortable in, like a QST 92, where they can take it off trail and still get that feeling and build those skills while having a daily driver ski that's comfortable for them. Ideally, you would have your all-mountain, like 90 millimeter width underfoot, depending on where you ski, and your powder ski that's designated for its job. But I do think that there is value with having an all-mountain ski like that and being able to kind of explore more. So that's my opinion. That's my only like little asterisk there. But I really like this video, so yeah. Stomp Tutorials, nice job. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I like this stuff a lot. I'm gonna try practicing some of these things and building out my own skills in the powder. But if you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps my channel out a lot. You know, I'm not paid by anyone. I'm not sponsored. These are just my honest opinions and calling out baloney or calling out the good stuff in this case. I know I'm kind of known as the snarky ski channel, but when stuff's good, I'm gonna call that out too. So this was very good. But more than anything, just thank you for watching. I know you guys take time out of your days just to watch my content, and that means a ton to me. So thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for all that. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.